Hello everybody, so welcome to our first Mario Kart 64 non-shortcut class. Just so you guys all know, right now I'm sharing my browser, but I have the Stream Manager open on my phone, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to just ask in the chat and I'll see them. I also have my practice ROM loaded up, and I am going to have that in the background, but I can turn that on if I want to demonstrate something. But I have a whole bunch of videos, like a big playlist of videos that I loaded up, so should be able to get that. You're not late for class, it's okay. I'm obviously going to post this on YouTube as well as, you know, having the stream, so if anyone needs to leave at some point, that's fine. All right, so let me just first talk a little bit about so the Google form I had people fill out. I'm not going to share the names of the people that submitted, but we got a pretty good distribution of different ranks. We had 1 God player filled out. 6 Legends was the most. 3 Kings, 2 Elites, 3 Master, 2 Pro, 1 Advanced. So I think today's class, I think SSMTs are a topic that's like a little bit more for Elite King range, but also, you know, relates to Legend, or really everybody, I guess, like beyond, probably beyond Pro, you're going to want to start incorporating them. But I also included that second topic about how to improve and why some people improve faster than others, because I feel like, just from what I see in the Discord and from what I've heard some people talk about, you know, you see certain players like just rush through the ranks, and I was one of those players that really rushed through the ranks, and then, you know, sometimes you're like sitting there and you feel like you're karting so much and you're really not improving that much. And hey, Ashley, and thank you, Xander, for the good luck. But yeah, so sometimes, like, not every player is the same. Every player improves differently, and I think there's reasons for that. Now, you might agree, you know, you can take or leave what I say. I really did put in a lot of preparation for this, so hopefully they work. You can look at some of the topics just to see what some other people said. Now, I picked these 2 topics, but I do, of course, want to talk about other ones. A lot of what people asked for was like track-specific stuff, which, you know, I would like to get to at some point. I mean, you can read through this. I'm not going to read them. You can, you know, if you look back at the YouTube video, you can kind of read what some people said. So, and obviously, like, I think somebody mentioned, like, the, you know, comprehensive track guide, so I do need to get back to that at some point. Like, I kind of got stuck in Calamari Desert because I didn't want to say anything bad about, like, shroom strats, but whatever. All right, so let's get started. So today's first topic is going to be SSMTs. So moving right to them. I don't know how many newer players are watching right now, but, you know, there were some, again, some players rated King or lower that signed up for this, so I'm going to just kind of pretend like I'm teaching it from scratch. SSMT stands for Straight Stretch Mini Turbos, which are mini turbos done on a straight. They're difficult because of the angles for them, but they do save a lot of time. You don't need a pen and ink, that's fine, but they do save a lot of time even if they're not the best. So I loaded up like a whole playlist of videos. What this first video shows is using the practice ROM. I made a ghost that was just driving straight, and then a ghost that did SSMT, so you can just see. And let me just double check that my desktop audio is on again. So let me know if the audio is bad at all or anything. Move my mic back. I feel like it's peaking. All right. So the ghost just drives straight. But then even like doing a slow SSMT, you can see just like how much time I'm gaining. Let me just play that one more time. All right, audio sounds good. Yeah, so this is something that, like, when you watch people do SSMTs at lower levels, sometimes they're like this slow, but really they do save quite a bit of time. And it's something that, if you're watching this and you don't do any SSMTs, you should try to at least incorporate, you know, some of the easiest ones. Hey T Smiths, hey CC Door. But yeah, you can see like how much time just doing an SSMT saves there. I guess I'll just let it go to the next video. I think it's a Toad Turnpike demonstration. Let me go back to my slideshow. All right, so yeah, talking about the SSMT process. So the first thing you're gonna do is steer in the direction of the slide. So I'm gonna, once it starts, I'll break this down. Okay, so I wish this line wasn't in the way, but what this is the practice ROM, and the practice ROM has an input display on it. And the reason I like using the practice ROM's input display is because as opposed to, actually my current input display is not working anyway, but even when it's working, like if you watch input display for Abney or someone, there is like a slight delay, or is just not totally synced up between the input display and the video. But in this case, everything is synced up. So like looking down here, the white square represents the control stick. So you're really going to want to pay attention to that. I believe you're also going to see, this white square on the top right is when I'm holding R. So just so we're clear on what that is. And the blue button is the A button. All right, so just starting with our first SSMT here. Okay, so again, the process of the SSMT. In this case, what I'm doing is I'm going to be doing a right-facing SSMT, right? So the direction of the slide is to the right. So what I do, first step is to steer to the right. While I'm steering to the right, and you can see that I actually like locked it in, my control stick in place after a couple frames, and then I hopped, right? Let me just make sure. All right. Yeah, so hop while steering in the direction of the slide. And then after that, you're going to counter steer in the other direction. So I actually held the slide, I held my stick in the direction of the slide for another couple frames, and then I counter steered the other way. And I did realize that one thing I forgot to do was load up the task videos, like the MT timing stuff. I mean, I put a lot of work into this. I might have forgot stuff here or there, but in case you don't know, for MT timings, you're going to want to hold your white smoke for about 9 frames. Then you toggle, and this is like the optimal MT. So if you try to do it quicker than this, it won't work. 9 frames for white smoke. So let me just rewind this a little bit. All right, so once you start seeing the white smoke, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, this SSMT was more than 9 frames, obviously, or for the white smoke, but you can't hold it less than 9 frames on the white smoke before you do your first toggle. So after that amount of time, you can see that I toggle. So meaning I bring the joystick back to the other direction. And then at that point, the yellow smoke, I think you have to hold it like 4 frames, and it goes way faster from the yellow smoke to the orange smoke. The entire time you can see that you're holding the R button. And then once you have the orange smoke and you toggle for that, then you can immediately release R and move on. All right, so let me just play. I'll go back to like the first ones, so you can see that again. Didn't get the syllabus. It's okay. All right, you guys are funny. Anyway, I think one more thing I didn't mention. So from the initial hop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's something like 6 frames before the slide begins. All right, so that's basically what an SSMT is. I'm going to go over some common problems with them in a second. Again, if there's any questions or if that wasn't clear for anyone, then just feel free to let me know in the chat. Again, I am self-conscious about this. I want it to go as well as possible. I realized I forgot to load up the MT timing, the link for that. I will put that in the YouTube video after this is all done. All right, thank you, Haddock. All right, so let's move on. So now, obviously, with SSMTs, there's going to be a lot of problems that happen, and probably one of the reasons why that was a common topic was because people struggle doing them, right? So I identified 6 common problems with SSMTs, and I'm going to go through each of them and show the what all these problems look like. And let me just check the chat. All right, thank you, Petrick Horsephone. Smarty. Yeah, so I will explain that. I'll probably make another separate video about that later, but I actually do have one video I've already made, which will go over like MT timing. But I think I want to go into slightly more detail about that, but I'm going to save that for later, mostly. Okay. So anyway, yeah, let's talk about each of these problems. So the first problem is a cart dance. So I'm going to just load up the next video here. All right, so I did LR SSMT study. The first problem I'm showing is what's called a cart dance, is when you don't get a drift. So it looks something like this. That time I got one, but yeah, I got one there too. All right, so what's happening for a cart dance when there's no slide for the SSMT? Basically, it means you countersteered too early or too hard. And so what actually is technically happening when that happens is you are basically going straight, and so the game doesn't register that you're drifting in either direction. It just doesn't really register. So here, okay, so yeah, my first SSMT here was going to be a left-facing SSMT. So you start the SSMT by turning to the left, and I hopped like immediately at the start of the race. First frame, second frame, third frame, fourth frame. I countersteered fifth frame, sixth frame, seventh frame, and when I landed, I guess on the seventh frame, I wasn't going far enough to the left. So basically what happened is the game just thinks I'm driving straight, and then I'm countersteering to the right, and so what winds up happening is that you wind up just going like off to the right like this, which is why it looks like a cart dance. You think you have to countersteer for at least 6 frames? Really? I don't know about that. All right, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I mean, like right here, I'm countersteering. I only countersteered for like 3, I guess. The hop is what 6 frames. Like no matter what, or if you're on straight ground. I mean, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think just looking at the video here should be. But anyway, regardless of the technical details, but that's definitely the issue. Like when you get this cart dance, it means you countersteer too early or too hard. Hey Carlo, hey Whippy, and yeah, hey Jones as well, and AK Vansky. All right, so basically in this scenario, what the problem is, you need to countersteer later or less hard, or like you can turn harder initially. Those are like basically the solutions to those problems. Now, a lot of times this happens because you're trying to get a really good angle. So it's just something that you have to work on, like your consistency and practicing a lot. But I think, you know, the first step is understanding why the problem exists. All right, so I'm gonna just scroll through the video. I think the next problem I put was, yeah, bad angle, which is countersteering too late. So I reset the run. Practice ROM conveniently does, if you hit D-pad up, you just restart. So here the bad angles just are gonna take me off into the sand, which I feel like for more people, this is their first problem, is getting something like this. And so yeah, the problem here is that you're countersteering too late, or just not hard enough. And what I did to simulate this is, like after those first couple frames, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I started countersteering in the 5th frame, but I kind of held the stick to neutral, so I wound up like sliding kind of too far to the left. So anyway, if this is the problem that you're seeing with your SSMTs, it means that you're just holding the direction of the slide, and all these slides are left-facing slides, right? So I'm holding the direction, I'm holding left for too long, or I'm not countersteering, so holding back to the right hard enough, okay? All right, the next one, I think, let's see. All right, slow MTs. So I'll just show you what like some slow SSMTs look like. And Smarty, I mentioned that I do have an MT rhythm timing video, which will be one of the things, that's actually one of the things listed in the playlist, which I'll show you later. And I do plan on expounding into more depth later, but you can just see what slow MTs look like. Okay, actually probably skipped over that one, didn't I? I don't even remember now. Actually, okay, yeah, so these are in slightly wrong order. Again, like, I tried my best at this, so I'll skip over this one. So, oh, no, I remember what I did now. So actually what I did was I just, at the end of this video, I made SSMTs that look pretty good. Just as another example. Of course, I got a cart dance on this one. But then, yeah, two that looked pretty good. Then I made some more videos. So this is some slow SSMTs. Again, even doing slow SSMTs will still be good versus not doing them. But here you can see like the frame timing. I said it was 9 frames for white smoke, then you toggle 1 frame, 4 frames for yellow smoke, toggle 1 frame. So here I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and so on. You guys just can see like how slow these SSMTs are. Just means you need to toggle earlier. Especially from yellow to orange, you want to do your toggle earlier. And then, yeah, the next problem, this is another problem that people have a lot, is bad SSMT spacing. So doing too many SSMTs. One thing I'm going to point out when you see this video, all right, if you're not familiar with the practice ROM, you can turn details on for this. And one of the details, a lot of these details, I don't even totally understand all of these, like X, Y, Z relate to your positioning. The most important value on here when you're thinking about like speed is your SA value, just basically is how fast you're going. The initial countersteer timing is the most important. As far as the angle, yeah, that's the countersteer timing in the beginning is most important. And I think the two things to take away from that, Cub fan, are if you get one of those cart dance things, that means that you countersteered too early. And if you go like too far to the off-road, so you're angled too much, that means you countersteered too late or not hard enough, okay? But anyway, the next problem that people have, and this is different between different card games. If you've ever played Double Dash or DS, and you see, or you watch like top level videos from those games, you'll notice that their SSMTs are done like, they're basically just spamming them. But in Mario Kart 64, you want to space out your SSMTs, and you're going to notice you're going to want to have what's called a glide from it. And I'm actually going to skip ahead a video here. So what I want you to pay attention to is the SA value, which is, again, your speed. I think I did one video where I just went straight, and then the next video where I showed SSMT speed. We'll see what I showed. Okay, yeah, so this is just driving straight. Basically, your speed locks into like 5.666. And then even just doing one SSMT gets up to 6.1. And then look how long your speed is still higher. Even after that adjustment, this is something that I think a lot of people don't really know. When you think about like how long your glide lasts from an SSMT, it basically lasts like for a really, really long time. So let me just play that again. Again, you see this 5.666 value. And then here, you do the SSMT, and then just look how long this is lasting. Even after that adjustment, it's still 5.7, like super high. Now, there was one thing that I would like to show though. You might, and I discovered this, actually didn't even really know this while I was kind of presenting this or preparing this presentation, is that the moment you release the MT, look at how your speed value drops at the moment you release the MT. 5.5 down to 5.3, and then it goes back up from there. And that's another reason why spamming SSMTs is really bad, is because, believe it or not, your speed value drops the moment you do the SSMT. So I'm going to go back a video, and you're going to see glide speed. I need to go back. Okay, so this is what bad spacing looks like. Notice how every time I release the MT, the speed goes down. So it's actually bad. Like, again, let me just take you through that in slow motion. Right here, I'm coasting around at 6.1. I release the MT, and then, sorry, I just dropped my camera grip. But it actually goes down. I think that's a 5.8. Yeah, like, look at how slow that is for that little bit of time. Like, after you release R, your speed drops 5.8, 5.7, 5.6, and then it goes up from there. Which I didn't even know until I made this video. It drops the moment you release means you should always release a little before beginning flaps. Yeah, that's a good point, and that's something that I could bring up later. But yeah, if you look at the progression of my videos, if I used to release the MT right on the line, now I will release it earlier than that. Definitely. So yeah. But yeah, you can just see, like, you're going around at 6.1, and then as soon as you do the MT, it just releases, you lose all that speed. So you don't want to do your SSMTs like that. You always want to wait at least a little while before doing your next one. How long you wait, I think, depends on the situation. I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all, but you want to wait at least a couple seconds. I mean, let me go back to that Toad's Turnpike demonstration video. So just kind of see how long I waited. Thank you, MK64 Speedrunning, for the raid. Alright, so yeah, however long this is, like, these feel like good SSMTs. Alright. I released R at 1964. My next hop was at 2084. So that's like 1.2 seconds. $21.80 I released the SSMT. Here I did the next one at 22.88. So that's 1.04 seconds. So in this case, it looks like about a second I'm waiting between SSMTs. 23.88. Now this one I waited a little longer, maybe because probably the bad angle. I had to like fix the angle. But yeah, you guys get the idea. Like, you want to wait. I can't imagine there's a time you want to wait less than a second to do an SSMT unless it's like a really, really track specific thing. Okay. All right, so we covered cartans, bad angles, slow MTs, missed SSMTs. Okay, so this one, and I know I did bad spacing early, but so missed SSMTs. Usually I feel like missed SSMTs happen when you're rushing one of the parts of the process. And most of the time for me, I notice that this happens because I have a bad angle. Unless you're just trying to like maybe improve your MT speed and you wind up doing one of the parts too fast. I didn't really cover that, but I did cover the bad angle. So let me just missed MTs. Okay. So here what I tried to do is I tried to miss SSMTs because I got a bad angle. And I would like rush part of it and wind up just like doing them too fast. If you find yourself in a bad situation where you have a bad angle, then it can be really easy to rush the MT because you're worried about going off-road. And so what I would suggest to do to fix that, now this is generally slower to do this, to hop out of your SSMTs, but it's better than missing them completely. So, and as we learned recently on like Bowser's Castle, if you're doing like a 90-degree mini turbo like on a corner, hopping out of them can actually be good. But yeah, so here is what I would do. I would suggest, like, if you get a bad angle, instead of rushing your SSMT, do it the same speed, just allow yourself to be comfortable, but then jump out of it. I actually, it's funny, and I remember laughing about this when I made the video, but I actually missed this SSMT while I was making the video out of a bad habit, because I'm so used to like rushing the process when I think I'm going to go off-road. So even though I hopped out of this, I still missed the MT because I rushed it too quickly. But here I did it right twice. Like, especially right there. Like, if I just release that MT normally, like, you can see how far to the left I'm going. I'm basically headed like straight for that wall, and I'm definitely gonna hit in the sand. But hopping out of the SSMT just gives you, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure hopping, I don't think I'm wrong about this, like hopping gives you a greater angle than just turning on its own. We can explore that another time, but definitely hopping out of the SSMT is better than just missing it completely. All right, and then the last thing I wanted to talk about are slope issues relating to SSMTs. So I mentioned earlier that normally in an SSMT, when you hop, there's 6 frames before you land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I guess on the 7th frame is when you see the smoke and you're now landed. But this is not the same between, like, this is basically if you're going on flat ground that it's like this. It's not the same everywhere. So Rainbow Road, what I did was I made a video. I went backwards to show when you're going downhill, you're in the air for longer, which means that it's more than 6 frames that you have to wait for you to land, which means that you're going to have to adjust your timing for both how long you're holding to the right, or the direction of the slide, and then how long you're holding back to the other direction. It's something that you're going to have to just experiment yourself with it. But I can look and see what I did here. Yeah, bad angle due to slope uphill and messing up timing with counter steer for downhills, definitely. So let's look and see what I did here. Okay, so here you can see how much longer I'm in the air. Let's see how long this lasts. So I jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, maybe on the 9th frame. I think that's a little tiny V sticking out there. So 9 frames, if you think about it, I did all this stuff in PAL. So PAL is 25 frames per second. 3 frame difference between this slope and normal slope means that it's 3 out of 25 frames. So 3 divided by 25, it's more than 1/10 of a second longer that I had to be in the air. Excuse me. More than 1/10 of a second longer that I was in the air versus not being in the air, or before I landed. So I guess in this case, let's see if I got a good angle. Okay, it was a pretty good angle. So let's see how I accounted for that. Okay, so I'm turning right, which is the direction I'm going to slide in. And while I'm in the air, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so like on the 5th frame, I'm more neutral. 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, on that 9th frame, obviously I'm all the way back to the other direction, to the left. But I started moving basically halfway between 0 and 9 frames. So however long you think you're going to be in the air, I guess it winds up being that like you counter steer about halfway through that motion. Let's check out one more. Okay, that one looked okay. There's like one spot of the track that's like really bad for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that one looked like it happened on the 10th frame. If you try to MT on certain spots like Toad's Turnpike downhill on the SSMT, it's just not worth trying to do. I will say this is one of the reasons why, thank God the creators did not do this, but if you've ever played any of the custom tracks where you played like Diddy Kong Racing, you'll have like downhill sections, right? And some of the custom tracks have downhill sections, but trying to mini turbo in a downhill section is like impossible, and thank goodness that the designers did not do that to us for the most part. All right, so then let's look at going uphill. I'm pretty sure I turned around here and demonstrated uphill. All right, so going uphill, the opposite is true, where, and I know these are not SSMTs, but it works the same if you're doing an SSMT. Hey Simon, by the way. Where instead of having more time that you're in the air, there's actually less time that you're in the air. So let's see. Here I hopped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so on the 6th frame, I'm in a slide, which I think meant that the jump was 5 frames. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so on the 6th frame here, there's like one spot that's really bad. Okay, yeah, like right here. Hop. So, okay, yeah, this section of the track, and this happens sometimes, on Rainbow Road, like at this spot, you don't even get a hop, believe it or not. You are immediately in the slide. So I hop, like I hit R, and then I'm just in the slide. Like, so in this case, I mean, like, if you're really good on Rainbow Road, and I think Ashley even said this in the Discord, hey Kelp, that like it's this red stripe, you have to know when that's coming up and like just kind of be ready for it. But yeah, this is definitely one reason why MTs go bad. And I should have done a video. You know what? I could load up Rainbow Road on the practice ROM. Let me do that real quick. All right. And just we can just see what that looks like for. Do I want details? I don't need details. All right, I don't know how the video balances or the audio balances. Improv, I know, right? I should have demonstrated the uphill. I have the volume off on my TV right now, so you definitely won't hear that. But yeah, like right here, and I'll do a save state. Like, uphill, what winds up happening is that you don't countersteer early enough, because if you're used to like holding right for 3 frames in a right-facing slide and then countersteering, then you're already in the slide maybe here by like frame 5 or something like that, and we can look at the values later. I should have had this prepared, but so in this case what you need to do is you need to countersteer earlier, and this is actually really difficult because the frame timings are going to be harder, and you have more of a chance for a card dance just because, yeah, see, not enough frames. And I'm like really whipping the stick back to the left. And I mean, you know, this will be on the YouTube video, so if you guys are going to analyze this on your own, what you do is, like, if you hit the period button on your computer, that will advance 1 frame, and if you hit the comma button, that will go back 1 frame. Spacebar pauses, so you can check out the exact frame data on this on your own. But yeah, here I have to steer in the direction of the slide for less, which makes the timings for this trickier. So yeah, uphill slides. And again, like I'm ramming into the wall a lot. Cart dance. This won't be on the test. But you guys get the idea. So this is definitely one of the problems with SSMTs. Let's just see if I had anything else covered for SSMTs. All right, no, I don't think I did. Yeah, effects of slope on drift timing. All right, so the next, I guess I'll just ask before I move on. Was there anybody have any questions about SSMTs or anything else you want me to cover? Like I said, I need to link the frame data for this. I will link this in the YouTube description, and also I will link the video for like the MT timing, and I'm planning to do more with that later. Are there any questions before I go on to the next topic, though? Which again is how to improve. I'll just give you guys a second. I'll take a drink. I realized, oh, okay, the audio went off automatically. All right, if there's no questions, we'll move on. All right, so the next topic, this is a big topic, and I think this is a much less explored topic than like SSMTs. All right, that's great to hear, Cub fan. I'm glad to hear that angling SSMTs, yeah, I mean, I don't remember exactly who asked for which one, but I'm glad that that helped you a lot. And I hope that this helps everybody. I mean, again, I made like a feedback form you guys can fill out after this is over. But we'll move on for now. Now, again, as far as how to improve, I feel this is like a much less explored topic. I mean, I think I do have some good thoughts because I'm a band teacher and, you know, teach this a lot. But, you know, whatever I say in the rest of this video, you can take or leave it. At least it will give you something to think about. And these are just my impressions. Again, I mentioned earlier that I was one of those players that zipped up through the ranks. And some players zip up through the ranks. Not everyone does it the same way. Some people struggle. So I don't have that perspective of having really struggled. And, you know, of course, I'm interested in your perspectives. But this is what I see. So first thing I want to say is that, like I just said, kind of all runs and players are not created equal. All right. Just because one person has a legend A time and another person has a legend A time, you might both have 4:59.10 on Rainbow Road NTSC. And that does not mean that the runs are anything like each other. You have to study your own runs to understand what you need to do to improve. It's not going to be the same thing that everyone else needs. So I think that the three big things that you have to do, or like the three big areas you can improve on, and I should have said more than MT rhythm. This is not just MT rhythm. It's also driving and lines, which I did talk about later. But basically the three areas I see are strat practice. So are you doing the right strats? MT rhythm practice / good driving lines. So basically, do you have fast MTs? Are you taking good lines? Yeah, this will be uploaded to YouTube, definitely. But yeah, MT rhythm, do you have fast MTs? It's like a big separator between a lot of players. / are you driving good lines? Then there's consistency, which obviously consistency matters. Some people feel like they just can't do the same thing right twice. But then like how to improve, I'm going to just talk about this now. So like regardless of whatever areas you identify that you need to improve on, which I think generally fit into one of these three things, you should either race ghosts. Yeah, untilting well, so that would fit into MT rhythm / driving lines / untilting. That's definitely important. But yeah, so regardless of whatever you need to improve on, I think racing ghosts is a huge deal. Now, I do know that some people hate racing ghosts. I will directly just come out and say that I think most of the people that don't like racing ghosts don't get as far, even at the top levels. I think that, and I don't think Beck will have any issue with me saying this, but like, I think that one of the, and of course, like Abney, right, has spent a lot less time in non-shortcut than me or Matthias. But I think one of the things that separates me and Matthias compared to Abney is that Abney doesn't like racing ghosts as much. And like, I really feel that the reason why I am as good as I am at this game is because of all the little details that I am always analyzing when I race my ghost. I have saved hundreds of videos of like replays of me like racing. Oh, this turn was really good. This shroom is really good. So like all that stuff I think is super helpful. It's not for everybody maybe. But if you don't like racing ghosts, then you need to do a lot of video study. So I will use an example, right? One of the things that you do, that I'll do on certain tracks that don't have ghosts that you can race is like I'll use checkpoint splits. And like a really great example of a checkpoint split, even though you have a ghost to race here, is on Yoshi Valley Fast Lap, the bridge. This is an old video of mine from 2016, a 31:33 world record. Okay, what did Haddock say? Yeah, Haddock mentioned the ghost document, which is definitely great. Okay, so I look at this, and I will do this during a run, especially if I'm not racing a ghost, but I'll do this in other tracks too. Like for example, DKJP, I'll look at my split right at the bridge, or when I land from the jump. Bowser's Castle, I'll look at my splits after the stairs empty. I'll look at them here and there. But basically, you're just looking at your split timer at a specific moment. So here I'm looking, I see, okay, 31:33 is the final time for this. 23:68 is my split on the bridge. Now compare that to the next video. So the next run is a 31:27, which is 0.06 faster. Right, did I do that right? Yeah, 0.06 faster. I think I'm even racing this ghost. But now look at the bridge split, 23:52. So that's a bridge split difference of 0.16, which means that, give or take, the other run had a 0.09 better double shroom, or like ending, kind of. So I'm going to look at these runs and I'm going to say, okay, quite clearly, I want to emulate the 31:33. So let me play the 31:27. For most people, this would be a pretty good double shroom, I would think. But now I'm going to look at my 31:23, or 33. And if I did any math wrong, then just let me know. Yeah, so like, and granted, now this is a world record level double shroom, but at world record level, I'm going to want to slide. I'm basically half, you can see it, I even like angle into the ground a little bit. Right, this is just like a crazy, crazy double shroom. How did I not clip the fence? How did I not fall off? Right, and this is what it takes at this point to get like a world record level Yoshi Valley lap. So yeah, it is pretty crazy. But like when I'm trying to progress personally, and this is me speaking from personal experience, what I will do, racing my ghost, and I do this in every track, I will try to beat my ghost by just a little bit until I can't anymore. So whatever ghost I'm racing, I'll try to just do it a little bit better until I just can't, and then I know, okay, I want to copy what that felt like when I couldn't beat the ghost anymore and try to just emulate that as much as possible. Yeah, so there you go. All right, So that's just a little bit about, I guess, how I would suggest to improve Racing Ghost or doing a lot of video study. But the next topic I want to talk about is understanding areas of improvement. This is a big one. So again, not all players are created equal. I've been trying for 2 weeks to find really good examples of times that were very similar, but where the runs looked wildly different, and I couldn't find the best examples. So what I did was I just took Yoshi Valley Lap and I drove 3 different times. Okay, so I drove example 1 is a 3260, example 2 is a 3250, and then example 3 is a little bit more fast, whatever, but 3223. I drove this all today. I wasn't gonna take too long to do this. And again, I identified the 3 areas that you need to basically like make big improvements, or like, you know, you might have a lot to gain from these areas. So driving, MTs and lines, then strats, and then mistakes / consistency. And so each one of these runs was bad in one of these areas particularly. And so I want you to identify, watching the runs, which one you think is which. And then I'll share. I mean, it should be pretty obvious, but maybe it isn't, depending on your level. All right, so starting with the 3260. And again, you're looking out, and you can tell me in chat which one you think, if the issue is bad driving, bad strats, or just making mistakes. Hold on, I need to check some. Oh, okay, that's why. I got confused for a second. All right. The run starts here. Ignore that one. Okay, sorry. I forgot that, like, I just did a local recording until I got a run that it was like I wanted. So, okay, this is the real run. False start. Okay, so again, are you thinking good strats? Or like, does it have bad strats? Does it have bad driving, or does it have mistakes? Okay, so just check out what I'm doing here. And again, this is the real run. Okay, so what do you guys think? Bad strats, bad driving, or mistakes? And there might be a little bit of all of that in each of these runs. Okay, with strat, driving. And you'll see, I mean, you'll see when I compare, but like, just take a look at, okay, so we have, okay, the green button is the B button. Okay. Yeah, this one would be bad strats. Notice that I'm not doing the A-B spin. Of course, there was like bad driving here and there too. I didn't do the A-B spin. I left out in mini turbo, which a lot of people do. I mean, that mini turbo is hard. I drove like decently fast MTs. Here, I'm supposed to do an extra hop when I release this mini turbo. When you compare runs from like MJ to current level runs, yeah, that MT is difficult, definitely. But when you compare MJ to like current level, he doesn't do this extra hop. But yeah, there is supposed to be an extra hop here. And then the other mistake was that 2 more mistakes, or not mistakes, but strat problems. Not doing a double hop here. You're supposed to do 2 hops. I also went to the right of this tree, which I just called a strat mistake. You could say it's a bad line driving, whatever. But like that's a bad strat, is to not go left of the tree. All right, next run. Why is this one here? I want the 33. Okay, 3250 next. All right, this run starts 105, I think it was. Okay, here we go. Hey, VAJ. All right, so is this bad driving, like slow MTs, bad lines, or is it bad, like making mistakes? Oh, that MT was a little faster than... Oh, it's too far. Yeah, so some bad lines, but the big thing actually here is slow MTs. So just look at this MT right here. Like, look at how long I'm holding this slide, right? There's no reason to hold a slide. Once you're at orange smoke, you just release it immediately. And I did hit the fence a little early. Again, I didn't take like forever, you know, creating all these, but like you're looking at this and it's just like, man, I'm holding this slide forever, right? There's no reason to hold that slide that long. And then I also did some slow MTs later. Like right here. It's just a habit. Like as soon as I toggle my smoke to orange, I immediately release. So that portion of the MT wasn't slow, but then like there was some slow MTs, right? But the first run, you can say, okay, there were some bad lines too. So there was bad driving in this run, 3250. Bad strats in the other run, 3260. And then the third run, which would be just making mistakes, is a 3223. So the best run of all of them. Here it is. Now this run, I'm sure there's probably other issues here or there, but like I tried to drive well this run except where I tried to make a mistake. So I missed an MT on purpose there. I missed another MT there. Did I crash early into the wall? No, I didn't. Okay. So I missed 2 MTs on this run. MTs save what, like 0.15 or to 0.2, right? So if you add those up, let's say 0.3 to 0.4, right? That means this run could have been 3190, right? It could have been like way faster, but just like those MTs, missing those MTs cost that time. But like you compare this run, and what I'm getting out of this when I watch it is that I missed 2 MTs on purpose here. On the other run that I just showed you, the 3250, I just tried to drive a little slow, and it was way slower. And then on the one with bad strats was the slowest one, but one of those was leaving out an MT. I drove to the right of the tree, right? So basically what I'm getting at, and I did show this here, and I'll get back to this later, but in my opinion, like the players that you see, and you guys tell me if you think this is true or not, but like I watch Xander, right? Xander, I'm sure if you're still here, like if you happen to be in the Time Trials Discord and you're in the top 300, he was showing Warrior Stadium opener 126.91. Lap 2, 127.69, right? Think about how big of a difference. Yeah, there he is. All right, Xander being one of these players that flew up the ranks. And you can tell me if you think I'm wrong with this, but I see Xander as always having good strats, pretty much. Always really good MT speed. But then, like, when he doesn't have the best run, like when he's improving, he just, like, will make mistakes. So, like, that Warrior Stadium run. And Xander, you tell me if you think this is right or not. But like a 126.91, if you're not familiar with like PAL splits on Warrior Stadium, that is a god opener by 0.4, 0.5, something like that. One shroom. If you add those three splits together, 91, 91, 91, that's 73. 420, 73 would be third place by a lot. Xander, who just started like a year and a half ago. So obviously, somebody like Xander, this is how I see it, flies up through the ranks because he's got these two things working for him. He has good strats. He's going for all the strats. He has MT speed and the driving ability to achieve them, but he'll make mistakes here and there. And a lot of times when I see legend players, legend-ish players, or even some god players compare themselves to other people that are like flying through the ranks, they're comparing themselves and they say, oh, why can't I fly through the ranks like Xander or Breaking Rocks or whoever? But it's usually because those players are doing some bad strats, or their driving is just maybe not fast enough, not the speed not fast enough, or in some cases, bad lines. I think a big reason why newer players especially tend to fly up the ranks more, they have the advantage of seeing streams of not just like what the world record run looks like. You don't just see the YouTube videos, bad quality YouTube videos when I was starting, like see MJ videos and then MR videos. But they also have the advantage of watching streams from top players all the time, where they see the approaches on bad runs and good runs, what made a run work, what made a run not work. So like they don't have as many bad habits, I think, as older players. Consistency is one of the hardest things to improve. Yeah, well, I'm going to talk about that. I agree with that. I mean, for me, that was the hardest thing to improve, and I'm still improving that. And I think that's actually, if I'm comparing myself to Matthias, I think that I have better speed in some cases, but worse consistency is what I perceive myself. But it's on a very small level, maybe, but still. So I agree with that, and I will get to that. But yeah, so I think every player has to fix these things to some degree, but it's not the same for everybody. Not all to the same degree. And going back to this, you have to study and understand your own areas of improvement. One of the things I'm going to do for the next class is, and I hope somebody will be willing to do this. Hey, Leah, I'm going to mess up your name, Leah. I want to take somebody's videos next week and like tear the crap out of them. I want to just like every little thing that they can improve. So if there's anyone that wouldn't mind me like really going all in on their video, let me know. But I want to do that. I want to like no holds barred. I'm not going to say it was good. I'm just going to say this sucked, this sucked, this sucked. And like really that level of like what to do. But that's what it is. It's like you have to study and understand. Yeah, mid-level legend videos, or whoever is interested in this, just message me on Discord. But yeah, again, I think what you have to do is you have to identify which things you need to fix the most, and then you have to try fixing them. So the next part of the video, or the next part of oh yeah, and I had this slide in there too that I forgot. And I think these are the reasons why like the Xander level player improves faster, flies up the ranks. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not, but like consider this. Putting in more time does not fix bad strats. So if you just keep grinding tracks over and over, but your problem is that you have bad strats, grinding tracks constantly is not going to improve you. What improves bad strats is you. You have to be the one that changes the strats. Now, and I know sometimes, I'll get to that later, whatever. The next thing, putting in more time does not fix MT speed or driving on its own. If you have once you get used to an MT rhythm, you're probably going to stick to that MT rhythm, even if it's slow. So I would, again, suggest watching that video that I made for MT speed timing, and I plan to expound upon that more another time. But again, putting in more time is not going to fix an MT speed. You're the one that's going to fix your MT speed. Driving lines, I mean, again, I talked a little bit about that. For me personally, I just risk as much as I can until I find out what I can't. But each person might be different. And then the last one, I will say putting in more time does give you a higher chance to have less mistakes in your runs. So on its own, a player that has good strats and good driving even if they're making mistakes, just by doing more runs, eventually you're going to get those better runs. And if they don't restart too much, then they're going to get better at consistency, most likely. So, like, if you're watching this and you're a player that's like, man, why am I ranked like 120th? And like, I've been playing this game for 3 years, but some of these people played for like 3 months and they're already top 100. Why is that? I really think that these are reasons. Again, you can take or leave it, but yeah, I'm gonna move on. I will get to that, TJL. So I'm gonna talk first about bad strats. So what I would suggest, if you feel like bad strats are your problem, I would start with this. Watch the world record videos, and this is especially if you're like already at legend level. Watch world record videos and copy them as much as possible. Abney swears by this. Like, I remember the first stream I ever watched from Abney was him doing Chaco Mountain. He does that SSMT over that hill, which I don't even do to this day. But he wasn't even top 100, I think, and he was doing that MT, right? So he swears by doing this. I think that you should copy them as much as possible. It's not always going to be possible. You're not maybe going to, it's not worth it to do like the extra hallway MT on Bowser's Castle or the one off the drop. But as much as possible, you want to copy these. And I would say for difficult strats that you're having trouble with, you should prioritize the ones that are worth learning. For example, and I don't have a video of this, I wish I did, but like I see legend level players on Royal Raceway, they'll take the jump, and then they will not do the first SSMT before the left turn. That SSMT saves like the full 0.15. If you leave that SSMT out, you are killing your time, losing you so much time. Meanwhile, the extra MT on Bowser's Castle, even if it's on the bridge, that one probably saves a couple of hundredths. So it's like, by leaving out the bridge MT, you're barely losing time. By leaving out the hallway MT, you're barely losing time. If you do the extra hallway MT and you're slow, you're gonna lose time. So sometimes it's not worth adding, but like certain ones you have to add. And I would suggest ask for clarification about strats you're not sure if you should add. And I am always willing. If you DM me on Discord, I'm always willing to answer. I will admit, and you guys know this if you watch me stream, sometimes I'm in a good mood while I'm streaming. Sometimes I'm not, especially if I'm not driving well. I am a moody person, I will admit that, and it just is what it is. Sometimes you'll catch me on stream if you like ask me a question while I'm streaming. I'll take the time sometimes to like go through the track and demonstrate it. Sometimes I'm not going to want to answer, but I guarantee you if you message me on Discord, I will absolutely get to it. So I would suggest that. And Brett, since you don't have a Discord, if you want to message, you can message me on Twitch chat. Also works. All right. So you can message me on Discord, Twitch chat as well, but I would prefer Discord. Trying more difficult strats. Yeah, that's, again, definitely a big thing. But yeah, that's how I would suggest fixing bad strats. Mol, hey. No, we haven't covered that. All right, bad driving, the next one. All right, so when I talked about this a little bit, but for MT speed, I'm going to post my video for suggested MT rhythm, and I do plan on going into more depth on that later, but I will just say, if you want to be a top player, you have to have a good MT rhythm. It has to at least be pretty good. Like if you want to get to overall God, it has to be good. If you have just consistently slow MTs, no matter how clean your runs look, no matter how good your lines are even, no matter how good your strats are, you're not going to be as fast as other players. It just is what it is. And I would suggest Toad's Turnpike, and I will get to this in another class, but like Toad's Turnpike, I would suggest that be the track that you work on your MT speed the most for, because on Toad's Turnpike, except for any shrooms or the start boost, every single mini turbo can be as fast as possible. There is no reason to slow down an MT. If you compare it to Luigi Raceway, the long turns, you have to hold your drifts for a little bit longer. But on Toad's Turnpike, it is literally MT as fast as possible, glide. MT as fast as possible, glide. So MT speed on Toad's Turnpike is like the perfect track for that. And I will throw in one more thing that I probably should have covered in this class. But like, you want to work on your MTs both directions, right facing and left facing. I know some people have problems, especially with right facing, people have more problems with. This kind of relates to consistency, but don't be afraid to change, to do a different MT direction than other people. Like, I struggled on Toad's Turnpike for a long time because I would copy everybody's left facing SSMTs, but I realized at the time I was better with right facing SSMTs. When I started throwing in right-facing SSMTs, even like between laps, like I would always miss that first SSMT of lap 2 on the fast lap. When I changed it to just do a right-facing, it just made me way more consistent. Luigi Raceway, if you watch my videos, my first MT is a right-facing SSMT. So that actually is related to consistency, and I should have put that in that slide, but it doesn't matter. So as far as bad lines, I will say, first of all, equipment matters. And I'm not going to cover like N64 controller versus GameCube controller versus good stick versus bad stick. But like, try out different equipment. If you're using a GameCube controller, probably not the best stick to use. Just throwing that out there. And then... Mole, sorry, I just saw what you said about pre-turning into MTs. I actually show that in the beginning of the video, so if you look at the YouTube video later, I break down like frame by frame what I'm doing. There is a bit of a pre-turn for MTs, and that was another thing I didn't cover. You know what? I'm gonna just detour for a second, sorry. But I'm gonna go back to talking about SSMTs for a little bit, because this is one thing I completely forgot to cover. So like the direction you're holding, or like the direction your card is going, I wish I could like splice this into the other part, but like the direction you're going before you do an SSMT also matters. Right, so like if I'm facing more to the left, then doing a right facing SSMT is gonna be way easier. Right? But if I'm facing more to the right, then the left facing SSMT is way easier. So you can use this, like I don't always do a right facing or a left facing SSMT on Luigi Raceway. I'm facing to the right, I'll do a left facing. Like doesn't always have to be the same. Alright, thanks Xander. But yeah, Mole, I'll just show, actually, I'll briefly go back to this because you're here, why not? And I know this video is going to be really long. I hope if people really want to improve, I think this hopefully will be a valuable video. But I'll just go back to... No, it wasn't this one. Okay. The good MTs, I think... Oh, I should do the Toad's Turnpike, that's right. I made all these videos. So Mole. Alright, let's talk about the pre-turns. So if you're looking down here, I'm doing this on the practice ROM. This is the control stick. So for a couple frames before I slide, before I jump, I am turning right. What is it? 1, 2, 3. Start the right turn. 1, 2, 3. I hop on the third frame, and then 2 more frames or 3 more frames where I'm still holding right, and then I start counter steering. So there is just like a couple frames of pre-turning, I would say. So that hopefully answers that question. Yeah, well, I wish you all the best with that, Mole, but hopefully you come back, and I want to see you get that overall god for sure. All right, so going back to bad lines, Yeah, if you're using like a GameCube controller, then your angles are going to be, it's really hard to do those fine little angles that you need sometimes. But I would suggest like just try out different equipment. Personally, I prefer a bad N64 controller, but some people prefer really good ones. But the other thing I would suggest for lines, you have to learn how much you can risk. And this, again, like for me, racing Ghost is how I learned this. You have to learn how much you can risk by racing a Ghost. Always try to beat your Ghost by a little bit. And then you can back off just a tiny bit from that, like after you go too far, I guess. If you keep hitting the wall over and over, then like, okay, back off a little bit. But for me, risking against a Ghost is how I learned how to drive good lines. And if you're not racing a Ghost, then you're going to have to do that checkpoint split thing that I was talking about, or like really in-depth video study. Or just, obviously, if you don't want to do that, you can just try to copy other people's lines that you're seeing that are good. Should you always pre-turn? Let's see what happens when I don't pre-turn. I probably most of the time do pre-turn. All right. I just feel like it's harder. I don't know. And you're gonna get a cart dance. Thanks, Mole, for the Prime sub. I don't know. I could go back and put on the, I'm not gonna do it right now. This is something I guess I could look at. I could compare like the speed values. I don't know if I'm losing speed by not doing that. Maybe I just learned how to go faster by not pre-turning at all. I don't know, but I feel like it's harder. Yeah, like sometimes that... I guess if you don't pre-turn, then the problem is that it's like the Rainbow Road thing, like going up that first hill. The timing is just a lot harder. Like, you only have... If you start counter-steering too early, then you're gonna get a cart dance. So probably not pre-turning just makes you more likely to get that cart dance. Yeah. Or you can get like a super angle too. Super angle is, what I mean by that is like, if I do a right face or left facing MT right now, but it goes way off into the grass to the right. Not really like that, but yeah, I do pre-turn just like a tiny little bit. Hop and turned at the same time. Yeah, so there you go. I mean, I don't even think I realized how much I pre-turned until like a little bit, like a couple weeks ago. Somebody pointed it out. Like we were analyzing a video on my stream. So yeah, that's a good question, TJL. You'll have to ask Drew. All right, let me go back. All right, so let me move on, talking about fixing consistency. All right, so here are my suggestions. First of all, do not reset over every little mistake. If any of you happen to watch the Rainbow Road world record that I got yesterday, 5:51.75, I was like making a bunch of mistakes in lap 1 against the Ghost, and I actually said at the end of lap 1, like, you know what, this doesn't even matter. Like, I could still drive a sub 5:51, or I could drive a 5:50 on this run if I just am that good on laps 2 and 3. So, and I remember one of the, hey Cyanide, one of the world records I drove live at a meet, my Koopa Troopa Beach NTSC world record, I drove at a Virginia meet. I got a 1:19.64, which is now 0.27 off NTSC record, but I missed one of the first MTs in that run, and for some reason I didn't restart, and that was the run that I got world record on. And like Matthias, when he beat me back last year after the hoarding, like he did a couple 3-lap records that had a missed MT. Toad's Turnpike, Banshee Boardwalk. So don't reset. If the top players can get world records after a missed MT, you can PR after a missed MT. So you shouldn't reset. I would say no one should reset. If you're doing especially a 3-lap run, fast lap is different. But if you are resetting in the beginning of run after a missed MT, don't. What's going to happen is that you're going to put more pressure on yourself for your runs to be clean and perfect to itself. You know, maybe you don't have the best lines or fastest MT speed, but like you're going to put pressure on yourself for that run to PR to look good and to feel like it was good. And that added extra pressure is going to make you more likely to mess up later on in your run. And then you get less practice throughout your run. I'm like, of course, if you have the practice ROM, you should absolutely use it, and this helps a lot. But if you're not using the practice ROM, I teach music, right? When we start and we're playing a band piece, we don't start from the beginning of the piece every single time we practice. We have to like work on the difficult sections. Like, okay, let's work on measure 10, or let's work on measure 60. There's these 16 notes at measure 60, so we got to break that down and slow it down and work on it. In Mario Kart 64, if you're always starting from the beginning, then you're getting the most good at the beginning and not at later parts. So the less you reset, the more practice you're going to get everywhere else. And what I also suggest, again, like use a bad run where you like messed up in the beginning as an opportunity to like push yourself a little more later and just see how you can do it. And then, you know, maybe if you push yourself a little more later and then you made it work, but sometimes you didn't. Like on later runs, you can just back off a little bit on those sections, but then you'll probably do it well enough to PR at least. Yeah, practice ROM is really good. But I will say also, practice one tries a lot. I will just say for myself that I think the best I ever was at 3 laps, and I think the last few days I've gotten into like a pretty good groove. So like finally feeling more confident at 3 laps. But this year I felt not as good at 3 laps as I did at the end of last year. I don't think it's a coincidence that the 1 tries were at the end of last year, and I was doing better on 3 lap runs when I was practicing 1 tries constantly. And I would say also, I mean, this is like eating vegetables or like taking medicine. Like this suggestion, it's not easy or fun maybe, but like I would say don't reset even if they go really poorly. Like I have to force myself when I do 1 tries to like on sherbet land. If I took too much risk on the first crack jump, I have to really force myself to just finish the run. And it's like, nope, this is what happens. Like if this happened in a match, then this is what it is. But if you don't reset, it forces yourself to care about your whole run. And if you're forced to care about your whole run and everything that happens in your run, then you're practicing conditions on lap 3 where you care about your run, right? Like everybody's going to care about their run if they know they're on PR pace. So you have to get good at driving while you care about your run. And if you force yourself to do 1 tries and finish your runs no matter what, then you're going to do better. Like, because you're just going to be more used to that pressure. I think also doing 1 tries shows you, like, sometimes you'll drive 1 tries and that'll make you realize that, wow, like, I can make all these mistakes and still drive, like, a close time to my PR sometimes. Or sometimes you'll PR in a 1 try. But yeah, and then, again, use the practice ROM if you can. The practice ROM is fantastic, because of consistency, right? Like, one of the last world records that I'd never gotten, and I still have never gotten Moo Farm Duel, right? 3 lap or fast lap. But one of the last world records that I never got was LR lap. So like before I got my 37:58 in whenever that was, January, February, like save state by hitting left, whatever, that was terrible. And then practice the triple shroom and all this stuff. My thumb's really slippery right now, whatever. But and then the nice thing is if you do this on lap, okay, that was already on lap the end of lap 1. But like you can see, especially if you're practicing something at the end of the lap, like how well you did it. It'll give you direct feedback. I'm karting with no audio, by the way, right now, so I did that third shroom too early, but yeah, as an example. So yeah, those are my suggestions for fixing consistency, I think. You're still seeing the slides, yeah. Oh, that's right. Sorry, okay. Thank you for pointing that out. Teacher fails. This has happened to me teaching this year as well. All right, like actually. All right, so what I did was I just drove back here. I hit left on the D-pad, which created a save state, and then throwing in some Xeno sliding there. 204.46. Oh, this is not going to be a great comparison for split time because I'm starting from scratch, but you can hit D right or D-pad right to load up the save state. So yeah, that was a teacher fail there. But again, like the practice ROM is great. Practice at triple shrooms like this. I practiced DK Fast Lap third shroom. I've been practicing Royal Raceway, the new strats, like the hill one at the end. I haven't really done the double shroom thing. Xeno sliding. I mean, I've covered this in another video, but it's toggling the stick back and forth like this. I mean, I have a video I can just link you. Like on Toadstone Bag for it, I'll just link you instead of like taking the time to show it right now. Alright. So, any more questions? Because that covers everything that I was going to talk about. Did I switch back to... I didn't. Okay. Yeah, so that basically covers everything. If you guys have any more questions about that, about improvement, again, like, everything I covered for improvement, a lot of it you might disagree with. It's not a well-covered topic, and people might have their own thoughts, so I'm definitely interested. Feeling strats are right for you. That also involve stuff like shrooms on certain tracks? So, Smarty, I'm trying to remember, your JME on Discord depends on your level, but again, I would just, like, there's no shame in asking about strats. I would say almost everybody should be doing the normal 3-lap shroom on Wario Stadium. I can't imagine why you wouldn't. So if you need help with that, then just let me know. I'm going to try to wrap up this video, but as far as the fast lap goes, trying to think of the other shrooms in the fast lap are not super hard either. Are there any strats? There might be some tracks where the like fast lap shrooms are difficult. So like Donkey Kong Jungle Parkway, the second shroom, like you don't have to do the world record strat. Maybe I don't even know how much it saves. You can just do a double shroom out of the grass. Especially now, like Frap Snowland strats, shroom strats, you know, are definitely a thing. All right, let me read what Brett said. Caring about runs is a complete 180. Yeah, well, if you don't care, you can handle the pressure, but good luck trying not to care about your runs. Like, that is true. If you can manage to not care about your PR runs, and I've tried to do that. And another thing I should say is that I will try to focus on my breathing during lap 3 of runs. Also, if you watch my Rainbow Road world record from yesterday, right before I dealt with the second to last chomp on lap 3, 5 minutes into the run, took a deep breath because I'm like, okay, I just got to compose myself. So that is true. Like if you can manage to compose yourself more on runs, but the thing is that you care about that run. So I think part of composing yourself on runs you care about is like having more runs that you care about. So mentality of every attempt is one less run I need to get the PR I want. Yeah, no, that's also true. Definitely you can, And I have looked at it from that perspective as well. Absolutely. I think both perspectives are good. I think you want to have more runs that you care about so you get used to how to deal with it, but also working on your mentality on lap 3 is another thing that's important. Flaps prefer to set a ghost in the early shroom. Yeah, that's another thing you can do. Like on tracks like Rainbow Road or Toad's Turnpike, I don't know Warrior Stadium. I feel like the shrooms there might be worth doing the right ones, but I don't know. I don't actually know. But like Toad's Turnpike, definitely, you know, it's nothing wrong with changing it up. All right. Any more comments or questions? I didn't look at Kazuya's video, Smarty, so I don't exactly know what you mean. If there is nothing else, I hope you guys enjoyed the class. I would like you to fill out the feedback form so that I know what I can do better. I just asked, like, you know, your Discord name. You can make it optional if you want to tear me to pieces or whatever. What did you like about the class? What could be improved? I mean, I made these not optional to answer, but if you want to say nothing was good about it, you can, or nothing could be improved. No topics were relevant, or maybe a lot were. I do want you to all answer what stuck with you most about today's class if you fill out this form, because I think that part of getting better is like at the end of, and this is something that we do in teaching, is like at the end of the class, you know, students need some time to think about what they learned and, like, you know, kind of copying that and saving that into their brain. So when you're filling this out, I think that's important. So I'm going to post this here. Do I find I play better when I'm solely concentrating on playing the game? Good question. I mean, I feel like for 3 laps, I think I have to concentrate. The weird thing is that for like 3 laps, I have to concentrate. And for fast laps, I like don't. Like, I'll just grind like 8 hours of Mario. I used to do this, like grind like 8 hours of Mario Raceway. Are we going to get Discordception? This is funny. But yeah, I think it depends more. I'll have to think more about that too. All right, what else did I want to say? Okay, yeah, like I said, I would really love next time to dissect someone's driving in a no-holds-barred kind of manner. So message me, preferably on Discord, but if you don't have Discord, you can message me on Twitch. So I did so much work for this video today. I would really love it if someone could make timestamps for me without me having to make them myself. That would be great when I upload this to YouTube, because most people are probably not going to watch a full hour, 40-minute long video. But I am probably going to come back. I'm going to end stream here. I'm probably going to come back in a little while with runs. I actually haven't even decided what track, but I would like to kart a little bit. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. How do I improve? How do I motivate myself to do better when you're at the top? Okay, one more thing I wanted to ask or say is that if you can find ways to make the game fun, then that is something that motivates you. And I think somebody asked about motivation. For me, sometimes I'll just like not worry about what times are showing up on the screen, but just like take a second to like cart through tracks and like enjoy how I'm just like, I know that I'm doing this really fast and that's fun. So, but also like the motivation of competition is like a big motivator, you know. For me, having world records was a huge motivator. Like when I first felt like I could get a world record, I would grind that world record a lot. But yeah, I'm gonna end this here. Again, fill out that form. Did I actually wind up posting this? All right, if I didn't post it, here it is. Okay, I did post it, yeah. So fill out that form. And thanks guys for watching. And I will see you next time. It should probably be next week, but we will see. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys got something out of this. And again, if somebody could watch this on YouTube later and make timestamps, that would be so appreciated. But yeah, I mean, because otherwise I'll have to do it myself if I really want to make this good. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll be back pretty soon with some non-shortcut attempts. All right, see you later.